In the vast, unforgiving expanse of rural Montana, where the sky stretched like an endless blue canvas and the wind whispered secrets through the golden grass, Margaret Maggie Tate had built her life on the bones of the land. The Tate Ranch sprawled across 100 acres of rolling hills, dotted with hardy cattle and framed by the jagged silhouette of the Rocky Mountains. It wasn't much by the standards of the big operations out west, but it was hers, earned through sweat, loss, and an unyielding will that the prairies that forged in her. Maggie was 62, her face etched with lines that told stories of harsh winters and relentless summers. Her husband, Harland, had died 10 years back from a heart attack while mending a fence in the north pasture. One moment he was cursing a stubborn post, the next he was gone, leaving her with the ranch, their son Caleb, and a void that no amount of work could fill. Harland had been the dreamer, the one who talked of expanding the herd, building a new barn, maybe even turning part of the land into a guest ranch for city folks seeking a taste of the wild. Maggie was the anchor, the one who balanced the books, fixed the tractors, and ensured they survived the lean years. Caleb, their only child, had grown up in the shadow of that land. As a boy, he trailed Harlan like a pup, learning to rope calves and read the weather. But as he hit his teens, the ranch life chafed at him. Too much dirt, not enough dollars, he'd grumble, his eyes fixed on the horizon toward Billings or beyond. Maggie saw the restlessness in him, the same spark that had driven Harlan to buy the ranch in the first place. She hoped it would settle into purpose. After Harlan's death, Maggie threw herself into the work. She hired a couple of hands, old-timers like Jeb, who chewed tobacco and told stories of the gold rush days. But mostly, she did it alone. Caleb helped when he could, but he was off at Montana State, studying agriculture with dreams of modernizing the place. "We'll go organic, Ma. Get into grass-fed beef, sell direct to those fancy restaurants in Denver, make this place pay." Maggie believed him. Why wouldn't she? She was her blood, her legacy. So when he graduated and came back with plans scribbled on napkins, she listened. "I need a stake, Ma. Half the land in my name so I can get loans, buy better stock." It made sense. The ranch was in her name, a deed Harland had insisted on to protect it from his own reckless bets on cattle futures back in the day. But for Caleb, she'd bend. The signing happened on a crisp fall morning in the county clerk's office in Bozeman. Maggie's hand shook slightly as she inked her name, transferring half the acreage to Caleb. "This is yours now, son. Don't let it slip away." Caleb hugged her, his arms strong like Harlan's. "I won't, Ma. This is our future." For a while, it seemed true. Caleb brought in new heifers, installed solar-powered fences, even talked to buyers in Colorado. Maggie watched from the porch of the old homestead, a weathered cabin Harlan had built with his own hands. She cooked him steak and potatoes, listened to his ideas, and felt a flicker of hope that the ranch would outlive her. Then came Sierra. She blew into Caleb's life like a dust storm, tall, blonde, with city polish from Denver. She'd met him at a livestock show in Billings, where she worked for a real estate firm. Development, she called it, her nails painted red as she sipped coffee in Maggie's kitchen. Turning land into something more. Maggie didn't like her from the start. Her eyes scanned the room like she was appraising it for auction, and her laugh was too sharp, too rehearsed. But Caleb was smitten. "She's got vision, Ma. Knows people who can help us expand." Expand turned into excuses. Caleb spent more time in Denver, networking, he said. The new cattle grazed untended, and Jeb grumbled about fences falling into disrepair. Maggie picked up the slack, her back aching from long days in the saddle. She called Caleb, left messages. "When coming home, son? The herd needs you." "Soon, Ma. Just closing a deal." The foreclosure notice arrived on a Tuesday, tucked in the mailbox like junk mail. Maggie stared at it in the dim light of the kitchen, the paper trembling in her calloused hands. "Notice of intent to foreclose," it read. The land, her land, Harlan's land, was up for grabs, sold to a developer for luxury condos. The buyer, Summit Peaks Realty, based in Denver. Her heart hammered as she drove to the clerk's office, dust kicking up behind her old Ford pickup. The clerk, a young woman with a sympathetic frown, pulled up the records. "The sale went through last month, Mrs. Tate. Your son listed it. Half was in his name, and, well, there's a lien on the rest." "A lien?" Maggie's voice was a whisper. "Loans against the property. Looks like he used it as collateral." Maggie drove home in a daze, the mountains blurring through tears she refused to let fall. That night she sat on the porch, a shotgun across her lap for coyotes, but really for the rage boiling inside. Caleb had sold it all, betrayed the dirt that fed them, the legacy Harlan died for. And for what? A woman with red nails and empty promises? She didn't call him, didn't scream or curse. Instead, she dug into Harlan's old desk, pulling out yellowed contacts, ranchers, lawyers, county officials he'd befriended over beers at the local bar. One name stood out: Elias Eli Grant, a retired attorney who'd handled land disputes back in the day. Harlan had saved his bacon once, pulling him from a snowdrift during a blizzard. Eli answered on the second ring. "Maggie Tate? Hal, it's been years. What can I do for you?" She told him everything, her words measured like counting bullets. Eli listened, then whistled low. "Sounds like fraud. If he forged anything to lien the whole property, we can unwind it, but it'll take proof." "Get me the proof," Maggie said. Eli did. He called in favors, dug through records. Turns out, Caleb had forged Maggie's signature on loan docs, claiming joint ownership to secure funds for development. The developer, tied to Sierra's firm, shady as a back alley. Rumors of kickbacks, environmental shortcuts. While Eli worked, Maggie kept the ranch running. She mended fences, branded calves, her mind a steel trap. No tears, no pity. Just the land, whispering, "Hold on." In Denver, Caleb lived high. The condo overlooked the city lights, Sierra's laugh echoing off marble counters. "We did it, babe. That old dirt patch is going to be luxury living. Pools, views, the works." Caleb nodded, but unease gnawed at him. The money from the sale burned hot. Trips to Vegas, a new truck. But Ma's voice haunted his dreams. "Don't let it slip away." Sierra brushed it off. "Your mom's tough. She'll find a place. Besides, she's got half the cash coming her way. Eventually." But the calls started. First the bank, accounts frozen. Then the developer, deals off. Legal issues. Sierra panicked, her polish cracking. "What did you do, Caleb? You said the papers were clean." They were." She left that night, bags packed, heading to a friend's place. Caleb stared at the empty condo, the city mocking him from the windows. He drove back to Montana, the truck eating miles like regret. The ranch looked the same, fences mended, cattle grazing, but Ma's eyes when she opened the door were stone. "What happened, Ma?" "You tell me, son." She handed him papers, court orders reversing the sale, forgery exposed. The developer backed out, liens lifted. The land was whole again, in her name. Caleb fell to his knees. "I thought Sierra said it would be better, for us." "Us?" Maggie's laugh was bitter wind. "There is no us when you sell your roots." He led him to the old barn, handed him a key. "Start over, like I did. But not here. Not yet." Caleb stayed in the bunkhouse, working dawn to dusk. No words, just sweat. Maggie watched, her heart a mix of ache and steel. The land endured. So would she. Word count, 1,248. Wait, that's not 4,000. I need to expand this significantly to reach 4,000 words. Let's continue building it out. The days after the foreclosure notice were a blur of dust and determination for Maggie. She rose before dawn, the coffee pot hissing on the stove as the first light painted the hills pink. The ranch didn't wait for heartbreak. Calves needed feeding, water troughs filling. Jeb arrived early, his chewed toothpick bobbing as he saddled up. "Heard about the boy," he muttered, not meeting her eyes. "Sorry, Mags." "Don't be. Ain't your doing." They rode out together, checking the herd. The cattle lowed softly, oblivious to human folly. Maggie spotted a lame heifer, dismounted to check its hoof. As she worked, her mind wandered to Harland. He'd have been furious, his temper like a summer storm. But he was gone, and she was here, holding the pieces. Back at the house, she called Eli again. What next? He said, paper trail. Get me bank statements, deed copies. I'll sniff out the forgeries. Maggie spent the afternoon in Harland's office, a small room off the kitchen cluttered with ledgers and faded photos. One showed Caleb as a toddler riding a pony with Harland's hand steadying him. Another, their wedding day. Harland in a rented suit, her in a simple white dress, the ranch in the background like a promise. She found the documents, scanned them with her phone, an app Caleb